Hey guys, it's John from Album Review TV. Time for a review of the new Arctic Monkeys record titled AM, follow-up to 2011's Suck It and See. And after listening to that album in 2011, I really realized how much Arctic Monkeys really have changed and gotten darker and less poppy over the years. They've come a long way since kind of busting onto the scene in 2006, then again in 2007, following it up with a record just a year later with songs like Fluorescent Adolescence, which is still my favorite Arctic Monkeys jam to date. That and I Bet You Look Good on the Dance Floor, their first single which topped the UK charts. Those are the tracks that got me into the band, and I've kind of been following them for the most part ever since then. And after hearing Anthony Fantano's review of the new record and him giving it such a low rating, I just kind of had to see what was going on here. And I have to say that for the most part, I respectfully disagree, but I'm not here to compare reviews, I'm here to give my own. So let's go ahead and jump into it with talking about some of the singles. The album actually wins with its singles, and just to give you some background on the album before we even get into that, Alex Turner and the band said that they want to incorporate hip-hop style beats, like imagine grooving out to Dr. Dre and mixing that with the Arctic Monkeys, and mixing it with their typical garage rock, indie rock, psychedelic style. And after hearing him say that, I was kind of like, what the hell is this album going to sound like? Are we going to see Arctic Monkeys featuring Dr. Dre on a track? And I'm glad that we don't see that. No guest musicians here. And that's something that it's almost sad that I have to say it's a relief these days to see albums that just have the bands themselves on it. I don't know, maybe because it's your album? I don't exactly hear the hip-hop influences other than the fact that a lot of the songs are built around a looping guitar riff that you can really groove to, and if that's what they mean by that, then I definitely can hear that on a handful of tracks. But that's the thing, it's only on some of the tracks. A lot of the tracks feel a little bit lackluster, lifeless, and I don't know, they kind of take the album off of the right path, so to speak. But so far the album has succeeded with all three singles that have preceded its release, and all of which have been questions. Are you mine? Why'd you only call me when you're high? Do I want to know? Damn, Arctic Monkeys, when did you start asking so many questions? You're starting to sound like my ex-girlfriend there. But like I was saying, all of the singles have been just really good. They've been groovy, rocking, and full of questions. Do I Want to Know is the first one I want to talk about because it's the first song on the album. It has an incredibly smooth groove to it. Really impressed me upon first listen, and it catches my ear a little bit more each time I hear it. Just take a listen. The guitar has a dark feel to it, of course, as does the majority of this record, but on this track in particular it works extremely well as the looping riff grows and becomes more and more powerful throughout this track. It really starts to unfold and get louder, and I absolutely love it. The riff refuses to get out of my head. It's so catchy, but at the same time I don't mind because this tune is so enthralling to me as the listener. Are You Mine is once again unbelievably catchy guitar-wise, really pushes this song forward. Alex Turner's vocals sound energetic and enthusiastic, something that's missing from some of their tunes, so it's always nice to hear. The drums really kick in and are all over the place on this track, and it's just a high-octane tune in general. It really helps the record start off with kind of this 1-2 punch combination. It combines elements of garage rock, blues rock, alternative, and the riffs just slam and shimmer, demanding that the listener groove along with the band. I really can see that they've been influenced, I feel like, at least on this track in particular, by the Black Keys. They toured with them in the US, and I'm hoping that the band sees more success over here in the US. They've already seen plenty in the UK, and of course a lot in the US as well. Their last album actually debuted in the top 20 once again. Why'd You Only Call Me When You're High? We get to one of the highlights of this record. I really, really do enjoy this song as a whole. That bass line immediately had me shaking my head and stomping my foot to go along with the music. Now it's 3 in the morning and Alex Turner is trying to change your mind. I can't help but love this track, and I think many longtime fans will appreciate it as well. Now, it's not all great moments here on this record. I'm going to talk about some more of my favorites in a minute. But let's go ahead and get the ones that are kind of on the fence for me personally out of the way. Fireside and One for the Road are kind of in the middle for me. Fireside, I don't know, it's not a bad tune, but I just feel like I've heard it before, and One for the Road, it's got that slick bass line, something that the group is becoming quite notorious for, but the song isn't incredibly interesting. Once the electric guitar sneaks its way into the mix, things get, they get shuffled up and like a little bit more interesting. It's by no means a perfect track, but this one, it does kind of stand in the middle of the road, if you will. Then we get back to some more tracks that are interesting to me and more favorites of mine. Arabella. It's interesting to me for a couple of reasons, actually. Lyrically, I like the way Alex is describing the situation of this girl to the listener. Musically, I like it because of the driving and angsty guitars. Some of the most upbeat guitars and just rhythms you're going to hear on this entire record, AM. The dark and consistent bass line that makes you nod your head along with it to get in the groove. One of the most interesting tracks on the album, in my opinion, with a shocking guitar solo that truly surprised me. Snap Out of It has a bouncy and upbeat vibe to me that reminds me of some of the group's earlier work, which is probably why I enjoy the track so much. I love the way Alex sings Snap Out of It with the electric guitar slides in between the words. It sounds awesome. I Want It All is a little bit lighter and upbeat musically once again, but the deep and dark vibes and overtones are definitely still there, even if they're only implied. The first half of this record is really solid, but kind of totally almost drops off in the latter half, which really saddens me. I love hearing a rock band that actually makes such good use of electric guitars, at least in this year and day and age, because I feel like that's not a common thing anymore. It's like the electronics and stuff and the programming are at the forefront, but Arctic Monkeys have built another record around electric guitars, and just like this track, I Want It All as well. It's built around this high-pitched riff that kind of helps differentiate the track from its peers. Then of course we've got our snoozers and our boring tracks that I just kind of dislike, honestly. The first on that list is Number 1 Party Anthem, which is kind of an ironic title. I will agree with Fantano there, because if you ask me, it's not exactly what you would expect. It might be the number 1 party anthem for a 20-year high school reunion at a high-class country club, but that's about it. Really throws off the pacing of the record, but that's just my opinion. Knee Socks, Mad Sounds, I Wanna Be Yours, other tracks that I just find dull and lifeless for the most part, and something that's just so ordinary and does nothing to really lift itself up or try to be anything different. I Wanna Be Yours closes the album out on what I feel like is just filler, nothing killer. Alex wants to be your vacuum cleaner, breathing in your dust. Just keep that in mind while listening to this boring closer. I'm kind of torn on this record, guys. Honestly, I'm kind of split right down the middle. So I feel like a 3 out of 5 is the only just rating I can give for this record. I really do enjoy and groove out to a lot of these tracks, but a lot of them just, like I said, feel very generic. What did you guys think about Arctic Monkeys' new record, AM? Let me know in the comments section down below. You guys have been requesting this one, so I wanted to go ahead and get that out for you. The album is out now, so if you want, check it out on iTunes or pick it up in stores. Leave requests for future reviews, and of course, thanks for watching and subscribing right here on Album Review TV, your home for music news and reviews.